journey has brought me to an understanding of the divine forces with which we have all been bestowed. It was in this search that I came upon a revelation, which has called me to guide millions of people towards their righteous destiny.
Oh, no, you good, bro. No, I was just saying, like, what I was saying was, I feel like affirmative action shouldn't be looked in a negative sense. I feel like we have to at least give people the chance to and give us at least an even playing field of some sort to compete with those that had a better school experience than us.
Right.
In general sense.
Yeah. So I kind of agree with some of what you were saying, but for me, it's more like I always say this shit, but like it's exposure, right? So like, and it's from a business standpoint, right? So like you have opportunities to meet creative minds in those circles, right? And I will say, so like we talked about clarity. So like clarity is having the opportunity to think clearly. And to be afforded clarity, sometimes you have to be in like a certain situation. So, but that's just what I'm saying is like, maybe your home life isn't the best, right? So that would be an opportunity for you to go to college, right? So while you're at college, right, you're away from that thing that was hindering your clarity, right? Mm-hmm. So at college, you're able to think clearly. You don't know what you can achieve at that point, right? Because you're not worried about tomorrow anymore. You're able to think creatively. So that's kind of my thing at those universities, right? So like if a student was to get into Harvard or Cornell, right, and they have that idea of like I want to meet people and start stuff, right? But he's always thinking about like academic probation and being kicked out of the school. Like what does that, right? Does that negate all that clarity that he had, right? Because he's still feeling that stress. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
If that's his means to an end, right? Like if getting that degree is the only way he thinks it's the only way for him to be successful, right? Doesn't that, right? So I'm just playing devil's advocate.
So you're asking me like in that sense, is this something like unfair when it comes to like psychologically for like what the kid's going through school,
right? Because that can kind of hinder like your creative ability, your clarity, and like typically like people that go to those schools are like around other successful people, right? So that's kind of we hang out. The reason we talk and kind of hang out is right because we kind of like minded and we both want to achieve success, and we always like we have conversations and we kind of grow through that, right? So like that may be like that student who goes to Cornell who can't really handle the course load, right? That may have been his thought going in, but now he's experiencing something that's way right. Now he's stressed out more than he's ever been before, right? Because like his ego is wounded psychologically. He may be strained and like physically, right? So like to catch up, he's up all night. He's trying to study, whoop the whoop. Like it's just right. It turns into like this storm that it wasn't supposed to be, right? So is that hindering or helping him? Like
it depends on how you see it, bro. Like
right.
I'm not trying to put race into it, but I mean you have to. Us as people, that's it. We have to adapt. That's what we do. We adapt to our situations and our environment.
Yeah. So I'm gonna cut you off. Go ahead, my B.
Oh no, I was just saying like I said we do. So when a person goes to an Ivy League like that and experience something like that,
right?
At least give them the chance to experience it. Now, if they want to leave, they leave.
Okay.
But if they fight it out and make it, shoot, the possibilities are endless, bro. What they can do in the future.
Exactly. I get that. Okay. Yeah. I see what you were saying, right? So it kind of touches back on like opportunity, right? Yeah. And like that's something you may not have afforded somebody, a black person, maybe 60, 70 years ago. That just would have never happened, right? And like apart from getting really good grades at maybe like a Harvard or a Cornell, just the sake of having a degree from there can probably open doors for you that someone else may not have access to.
Bro, think about it, bro. Like, let's be real, bro. Like, for instance, bro, you went to University of South California, bro, and I went to Harvard. Your GPA might be higher than mine. You might have like a 3.5, and I got 2.5. But I graduated though. We think they're gonna hire, bro. Like, I mean, I could be wrong. I'm just saying though, like with Harvard being, they might look at Harvard automatically like, okay, let's put him in this pile right here, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, what you think?
I think so. So that kind of touches base on like the corporate setting, and I won't go too far into like who I've worked for. But I think there's a game to be played, right? So what I'm saying is, and I remember texting you. I remember you asked me like, how's it going? I'm like, I'll kind of say like, yo, it's important for me to like, I need to start my own shit, right? Because it's just like, and I'm not saying this happens all the time, but to me, and I haven't, to be honest, like I haven't worked in corporate America long, but it's just like, it seems to me like you gotta sometimes be somebody you're not to get where you want to be, which is okay. Like if that's the game, if selling your, and I don't want to say it, I'm saying it like it sounds like, oh, you gotta sell yourself to be where you want to be, but like that doesn't have to be the case. So I'll give you an example, right? And it's all about setting the tone. I'll give you an example, right? So Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, he told a story. He was speaking at Harvard, and he was kind of telling a story of like how he was working. He was a junior at the time, and a junior just being like the lowest rank typically in finance, right? Junior analyst. Mm-hmm. And it was Friday. He was in the office, and like one of the senior analysts came in and told him like, I need this report by Monday, and it was Friday, right? So he stayed in the office, you feel me, and worked the whole weekend. And then he showed up to the senior's desk and like handed the report, and he was kind of like, you can just put it over there. I'll get to it later. And like you're thinking in your head like he needed this report ASAP. Like it was so important that he needed me to like stay in here all weekend to get it done, right? So Jamie Dimon kind of told him flat out like, yo, don't do that to me again. Like, I'm not a do boy. Like, don't, you know, he didn't say it in those words, but I guess that's how I interpret it.
Yeah.
But he said, like, at that point, I told him, like, don't ever do that to me again. That's literally what he said. Don't ever do that to me again, right? And that's what I mean, like, by setting the tone, right? You got to kind of let people know who you are, I guess, early. And if they don't, and it's unfortunate, but, like, that's why it's important to have an S day. You got to say that, you got to have that FU money, right? Like, you got to move a certain way if you want to be where you want to be, especially knowing, like, you're a person who, you know Dame Dash. Maybe you got that Dame Dash like mentality where it's like I'm gonna be myself and like I'm not willing to like, you know what I'm saying, kiss dick to get where I need to be. Like,
yeah.
So to make that decision and like to be that person, right? It's some shit you gotta do. And one thing you gotta do is be like financially, you gotta have savvy. Right? So you buying a new Benz, or you gotta save, because it's like I love this job, but there's some things I'm not willing to do. Does that make sense?
A lot of sense.
Yeah. So, and I'm not saying that that's happened to me, but I just see it, right? Like we kind of talked about it earlier. Like I'm a person of like experience and like reading the room and having an opportunity to kind of better understand people, right? And not in a cynical way, but just like that's the type of person I am. Like I'm not looking for shit to nitpick, but it's just like if I see something, I kind of reflect on it and ask myself, like, is that right? If this situation was to arise with you in it, like, how would you react? That's my thing. So that's what I'm getting at. But never mind. That's it.
I mean, everything you're saying, I definitely agree with. Like, so, like, who are like 3 people that you like, business moguls or millionaires, billionaires? Like, who are 3 people that you look up to, and like you like? I guess you could say like want to be like one day. Like you just.
Yeah. So there's this
every move.
Yeah, there's this South African venture capitalist named Wusi Timogwayu. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me, but he started off as like a public speaker and it just transitioned to something else. But like the best storyteller I've ever had the opportunity to listen to in my life, like best storyteller. So like let's talk qualities that I would take from each of these people, right? So him would be the opportunity to tell stories, right, and like to make information that's digestible for everyone to understand, right? And then and his grit and determination. So he had a similar story to where like he was living in a place, right? He rented out this building for the office and couldn't really afford it. Bought a car he really couldn't afford. He got evicted from the building, was like living in his car, but he didn't want to go back home. Blah blah blah. And he ended up turning into like one of the top venture capitalists in South Africa. And like people, there's a situation that happened. I don't really have much information on it, to where like he spoke about something that was going on in the government in South Africa, and like people were advocating for him to be the president. Like. Right. So I don't know how far I went. I haven't been keeping like tabs on it. Then I would probably say Jamie Dimon. Straight shooter, dog. Like he don't really like the sugarcoat shit. Like it kind of is what it is. And you can kind of see it if you watch like some congressional hearings, right? If you just type in Jamie Dimon congressional hearings, you'll kind of see how he carries himself and how he speaks and like his demeanor. I would take that. Like he seems like a straight shooter. And then one more, it'd probably be JayZ. He created. right?
Creative as hell.
And he kind of like wraps up all those like aspects that I kind of talked about. So like being able to tell stories through raps, through rhyme, right? Grit, coming from like the SWAT and like making it to be a billionaire, like, you know what I'm saying? And then like probably the last thing would be like his demeanor, bro. Like he just the way he carries himself is just like, yeah, what's up, like,
He's got
right?
that New York in him.
Yeah, it's just like and he can like politic, like you know what I mean? He did a special with Warren Buffett, and it was just like, you know what I'm saying? When you're in a room with folks like that and they kind of value you, right? Because nothing's like screams truer than like being a billionaire, but like coming from the SWAT, like, right? Like you really
Exactly.
made it from nothing. Like people and being like creative, right? So people kind of live for that shit. Like there's a bunch of rich people that say they from nothing and like I had to figure it out, but like, they really didn't, right? Like
Yeah.
I guess Donald Trump. Let me not go political, but right? Like I don't know. But that's me. You asked me, that's it.
That's
Right?
it right
So
there.
JayZ in no particular order. JayZ, Jamie Dimon, Boosie to Maguire. My top three.
So like how has they like changed how have they like changed your like daily routine throughout the years? You have like your own routine you do?
Um I do meditate, but not every day. So like that's something I try to start my day off with. And like since I've been home a lot, I've been like trading more. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to be like, and I'll say this. So like some days that shit just does not work. Like I feel like it just does not work. Like I do it for the sake of like setting the tone for the day. So like being um being like being clear minded, but like being intentional in my actions. So like before I hop into a trade, like I'm up at 6:30, just kind of seeing what the news is. And you should be up earlier than 6:30, but like I'm trying to see what the news is, right? I'm reading like Q. I'm reading like financial SEC filings and stuff just to see like what's really going on and like scanning for first you got to scan to find out what you want to trade. So like just stuff like that, right? But I wouldn't say any of those people have like got me to like meditate, but I just feel like that's a part of it because like another guy who I look up to is Ray Dalio. He's the founder of Bridgewater, which is probably like one of the best performing hedge funds out there. He wrote a book. He wrote two books actually. I read the first one, but he talked about meditating. Like he tried to meditate 20 minutes a day. Like,
Wow.
and I still haven't sat down for 20 minutes to meditate, but like I usually go 5 or 10. But like I feel like that meditation lasts long enough for me to like hop into a trade and to like analyze a position and like jump into that. Like, right.
That's amazing, bro. I don't even know like how do you like for me whenever I meditate, for me
Right.
like it's more for me just sitting down and just focusing on my breathing. So like how did you learn how to meditate? Like you just
Yeah, so like Steve put me on, like Tyler Hill, back to that conversation. Like Tyler Hill put me on. I remember was that last year, right?
yeah.
We were talking about like mindfulness and stuff and like journaling. Like that's a big part of who I am. So like when I was young, I was just angry a lot. And like I think I was angry because of like so my granddad passed away when I was young, and that was like the only male figure that I had in my life. And like I was talking to my cousin last week when we were driving my grandma back to Alabama. I was kind of explaining to her like it felt like everybody else just moved on. Like that he just died and that was just like life just kept going. But for me, like it didn't, right? Because like there was a void and I didn't know how to articulate that at that time. Like I think I was like 9 or 10, right? So I didn't know exactly what was really going on. Like I knew he like liver failure. He had liver failure, right? I knew that was a thing, but I didn't know like it would turn into something else. Like he was on dialysis, bro, and like everything was going great. And then he was doing like home dialysis, which was like kind of scary, but he was still good. And
Yeah.
then like I wake up one morning and like he's gone. I'm like,
Wow.
because nobody really explained to me like what could happen. Nobody ever said like, yeah, he about to pass away soon. Like that just wasn't right. And I don't expect anybody to tell me that, but that kind of it seemed like life was still not even my family, but like life was still like progressing. But I was still like I felt like I was standing still, right? And I couldn't express that, so I was like kind of angry. But that's pretty much that. But what was I going with that? Oh,
I was just asking
as
you.
far as meditating, yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out like do you like literally like do you like go into a trance when you meditate or you just sit there and just
Nah,
breathe?
I haven't. I haven't before. So like, typically what I'll do is like I got some videos that some guided meditations that I'll have on YouTube, or sometimes I'll just like I use like a Mallow, which is like I wish I had one here. It's similar to like this, right? So it's like 108 beads. It's like in a necklace style. You kind of wear it, and like you can chant a mantra. You can uh, inhale, exhale. Like there's no. It is what you want it to be, but I've never been like a trance. But like after I'm done, it's not so much like mindfulness is just that. Like now I'm just hyper focused. But it's like I took that step to meditate. So now I take that same step to hop into a trade, right? So like I took 5 to 10 minutes to meditate. I can take 5 to 10 minutes to analyze a position before I hop into a trade, so I don't lose money. Like, does that make sense? So it's like a setup for the day. I think that's what it is. Like I've never been, and like I'll say this. I think we talked about this too. Like, so there's 108 beads on the Mala, right? But they give you 8 beads to like for mess ups and for mistakes, right? Because like meditation is tough. It's like working out, right? As you do it, it's training for anything. So as you do it a little bit longer, you get better. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
But yeah, I haven't experienced the trance, so I might be doing it wrong. Other people are like, but
So
I
like,
haven't.
do you feel like spirituality is like very important in like success?
110%, right? Because so spirituality. What do you mean by? Do you mean like following a faith or having or following a
Not at
religion
all.
or
So I
just
feel like when I say spirituality, like you said, of course, like mindfulness, right? So like spirituality
right?
to the point where like you control your universe, I guess you could say, right?
Right. I get what you're saying. So for me, like I'm a big history guy. Like I'm like you kind of know. Like I like to kind of know a little bit more about everything, right? So for me, I think I wouldn't call myself polytheistic, but like as far as like trying to understand other religions. So as far as like Judaism, Catholicism, Christianity, Islam, like I guess I take aspects from all those, and like what rings true in all those like religions is like reflection. Uh, and I think prayer. You correct me if I'm wrong, but like prayer is an opportunity for like reflection, right? And like for a time to be mindful, right? Because that's like an intentional action to like sit down and set a time to pray, right? And prayer for some people is like a sense of clarity, right? So it's an opportunity for you to get rid of those frustrations that have been like piling up all day, right? Like that's what meditation is kind of for me. And then like apart from like setting my intentions for the day, journaling will probably be like the next big thing in my life, right? Because like oftentimes I just need to hear myself speak. So like when I anytime I talk to you, I get this sense of clarity, right? Because we had talked for like 2 hours and just like I'm just pouring it on. I think like that's probably part of my spirituality, right? So I guess if I had to choose, right, it'd be a little bit of everything, and then talking to my homeboy, and then journaling, right? Because sometimes I just need to reflect on what happened throughout the day and like why I got to that situation. So like writing that shit down and just rereading it, right, and like trying to understand like what really happened, right? And then like oftentimes like I'll be like frustrated or angry, right? And like I'll write something in my journal and I'll look at it the next day, right? And I'm like, oh fuck, like that was so emotionally charged. Like imagine if I just went off, right, on some other shit and like told somebody how I thought I was really feeling, and like you feel me? It transpires into like some shit that didn't have to happen, right?
So it like lessens your regret. The regret you could feel later on, and like
right.
Yeah, I feel exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. So like, and I would say that's the biggest thing. I think definitely for like us as black boys, black men, like, but for all of us as a whole, right? We need to like, mental health is the next step.
Man, that's so true, bro. And then going back to that, like our other conversation, like it's like I don't know. I think me had conversations before, like having somebody to talk to, and keeping our emotions balled up is unhealthy. Like that's for like a hard thing for us to do.
Exactly, and I think as males, it's kind of hard for us to like get on the phone and like chop it up because that's not something what I'm saying. And even finding like a homeboy, because like me and you, I think it was just like chance because we both standoffish as fuck. Like we don't really like to, fraternize and chop it up with dudes that don't really, you know what I'm saying?
10%, bro. Everything you're saying is me.
Yeah, like, and definitely, like, I like to like kind of stand back sometimes and kind of see what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? So oftentimes that requires you to like to be by yourself, I guess. Yes. You know, right?
Conclusion, yeah.
Yeah. So,
have you ever heard of Stoicism before?
What is it called?
Stoicism. I think it's Stoic.
Yeah. So I think was being stoic is like the action of like not overindulging and like being patient. Like explain it to me. Explain it to me. We need
From
a
from
fact.
from my understanding, I feel like Stoic is more of like not caring, like the art of not giving a
Oh.
fuck. The book you showed me.
Oh yeah.
Not think of like you just don't like nothing really bothers you. Like something happens, okay, boom, it happened. Like let me find a way to get over it.
Right.
And how do you practice
Wow.
that? You practice that at all?
Um, I think that's the next level shit. Cause I still like, even with all that reflection, right? I still think like, oh damn, why this happened to me? Like what, you know what I'm saying? Or like, I give a fuck, right?
Yeah.
Like, I give a fuck. And to shit, I'm glad you brought that up. The art of not giving a fuck. If you get a chance, definitely read Everything Is Fuck. The same guy, it's the same guy who wrote Not Giving a Fuck wrote Everything Is Fuck, and that's like touch on that. And I think, oh yeah, so Charlemagne, when he released Opportunity Comes Those Who Create It, this was yeah, Mark Manson was the guy. He was reading his book at the time and him writing his own book. So you get a chance, hop on that one next. We can do a book. We can do a little book club about that one too.
Yeah. So you said that one and the discrepancies. I did that one too, for sure.
Yeah. And then
For sure.
yeah, but that was just part of it. So like me personally, like I don't read like I don't read a lot. I mean, so I don't read like you're supposed to read a book, I guess. I don't even know what that means, but um so like if I'm reading a book, right, I skip chapters. Like I try to find like what I'm looking for,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. And then like if the book's really good, I'll just read the whole thing. Cause like I guess my time is valuable and I don't like to waste it. Especially if I'm like especially if I'm trying to find information. So like another book would be, and my girl put me onto this one. It's called King Leopold's Ghost. And I think she had to read it for class. I won't ruin it. I kind of let you read it, and then we can kind of talk about this one definitely. But this is one I would skip around in. So, if you don't know who King Leopold is, so I won't ruin it. So let's just say he explored the Congo, right? And then you can see like some things that would be systematic and like people playing a game, right? So he was able to fool the U.S. government. I don't know if they gave a fuck or not, but like, and apart from them, the rest of the world, like, right? And then like, I don't know. I won't go too far into it. I'm gonna let you read that so we can talk about that one because that's gonna be like, I want to see like your thoughts on that shit because
It's deep.
it's some fucked up shit that goes on in there.
I write that down too, bro.
Yeah, King
So
Leopold.
like, I gotta write that down, bro. So let's come to end of the show, bro. So like, what are some things like you want people to like to know about you as a person? Like just like what would you say to somebody? Somebody came to you and was like, "Who are you?" What would you say to them?
Yeah. I'd say I'm flawed, right? I'm figuring it out. I can have a strong ego at times. And I'm just I live for experience, right? Like I guess that would be me. My grandmother's my world. Shout out to her. Shout out to Annie Lou. She's back in Alabama now. She cooling it. So
Hey,
you know
mom.
what I'm saying? Facts. She done paid her dues. She got me to where I need to be. So yeah, she's back home. And apart from that, I would just say like do what everybody else ain't doing. Like that's what I try to do. Like, and I don't have it figured out, but that's just I figure if I do something people ain't doing, then something happen for me, and I'll be ready when the opportunity comes. Like I say, that's me.
Very important, bro. But
Yeah,
thank you for coming on the show, bro. Like,
no doubt, dog. No
bro,
doubt.
I'm love, bro.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. Shit, peace and love, and like, I'm always coming back there.
Yeah. It's not over
Yeah,
yet, bro. I'm gonna find something
definitely.
else. We're gonna chop
Yeah,
it up again. Like, how you feel about this, bro? Like,
yeah, definitely. Make sure you watch my boy shit. Like it's let's talk about that. So my favorite episode so far would be, I think you were talking about fighting, right? So like why you enjoy fighting so much, why boxing is important to you, right?
yeah.
That shit rang true with me. I'm like, I guess that's the kind of way you got to live life, right? Like,
You have to.
so
You have to.
I guess a synopsis. let me just say, like, what touched me the most is like you talked about like not being scared, right? And not being scared of like it's not being scared of what you don't know is gonna happen. It's being scared of what you know is gonna happen and taking control of that. Like, does that make sense? Like, if fuck the unknown, like let's do it right now. Like, what can we? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be. You don't know the outcome. Like, let's do it and see what happens. Like, right? Like
using fear to your advantage, but that's
exactly.
all life
like,
is.
Yeah, and I think to touch on that, so like using fear to your advantage, right? That kind of touches base on like creating opportunities for yourself. And oftentimes to create those opportunities, you're kind of uncomfortable, right? Because you don't know what there's if you're just if you're just seizing the moment, right? That may not be means to an end. So you don't know exactly what's gonna happen. Or when being ready when opportunity comes, like you're preparing for something, but for what? Like there's no like fucking calendar that tells you like, okay, you go to college for this long and that shit don't work out, but now you start you take acting classes or you get into art, right? There's no calendar that says on this date you will be successful, right? But it's just being ready when the opportunity comes and it could transform into something else. But I think apart from like our community, but like youth as a whole, like that's the way to make it. Like, because I've had let me stop. But not to go too far, but like I had a marketing class, right? And there was this lady, she ran like a test marketing firm, right? So they would do like what do you call those groups? Damn, just skipped my mind. But anyway, she came in and she asked us like we were participating in like this survey.
Mm-hmm.
And people were just like, I don't know exactly what we're doing. You know me, shine me up, man. You know what I'm saying? But like, and then after that, she kind of said like, oftentimes you don't know like what you don't need to know what's gonna happen. Like if you in a situation, right, and like so the situation is so we're in a classroom, right, and our professor sends out an email and asks you to participate in like this test marketing research, and nobody's really willing to do it. So like the people that he didn't email, we walk into the class and it was like 3 of us. He's like, y'all want to do it? I'm like, yeah, sign us up. Y'all want to do it? Yeah, sign me up. Like, and it was just that just happened at the end. She kind of said like, those are the people that are successful, right? The people who are willing to like jump, like, right? And like,
exactly.
And bro, she's worked for like I wish I could think about. I can't even think about what she does exactly, but it relates like test marketing. But she's done stuff like Weber Grills, Doritos, Frito-Lay. Like she's put in a body of work, and like people are still reluctant to like. And we didn't know that before. I guess if people really knew that before, they probably would like, okay, like it's legit. Let me do it. Let me take this opportunity. But like, I took that shit and like, right, and nothing like spectacular came out of that experience. I guess like I didn't get $1 million. Or, like she didn't ask me to like come work for her, but it was just like I participated in test marketing research, like, right?
And that's what's special, bro. Just like, you know what? Scared of what? I ain't scared till I see what happens afterwards. Not being scared is not. I mean, life might be too far, but like, not being scared to die for what you want to do.
Yeah,
like, too far, but you know what I mean.
And hindsight is 20/20. Like a lot of that's that coulda, woulda, shoulda, right? So everything looked good after you done did it, like, right, or what you coulda did, or a situation, but like in the moment, like how much like self control do you have to be like, okay, I don't know exactly what's gonna happen, but I believe in myself and my willingness to like control my environment. Like no matter if I'm in an environment that isn't conducive to me being in control, I'm gonna control my environment by controlling myself. Like it starts with self. But anyways, let me get off this podcast, man. Taking up storage and shit.
Yeah, you straight, bro. I really appreciate you coming on, man. Like,
yeah, no doubt.
Like I said, like we said, it's not over yet. You gonna come back on?
Definitely. I might say you don't got me hip. I done got me a little nice mic and shit. Like
you might as well go ahead and do your own thing. Like we might as well
ring light.
You feel me?
I kind of look light skinned and shit in here. I might have to hold on. It's got hold on. It's got switches on this bitch too, boy. You don't put me. Oh, they don't fuck.
You try to flex on the kid. Hold on. You try to flex on me? Flex on the kid. What you talking about? Come on. That's what we do.
Yeah. You don't put me on, man. I got a little. I feel syndicated now. You know what I'm saying? Like
professional.
I got a boom on, but nah. Facts. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, big dog.
All right, brother.
Yeah, talk to you.
Yo, thank you for watching. Yes, I'm in the closet. I need some more quiet. Anyways, please like, Please subscribe. I got more stuff coming, more workouts, more motivation, and more intellect. See you guys next time. Assalamu alaikum.